Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Laura Fielding. I'm the Executive Director of Berets Medicare for All, and I have a really exciting announcement to make. I put it in the episode title. So after my my interview with Ryan Knight on Amped Up podcast, I was reached out to by an independent documentary filmmaker, and his name is Kenny Ballentine. And let me just get his Twitter handle so you can follow him, because he's basically given me. I met with him today. Look how circuitous I am. I'm very excited because basically after the interview with Ryan Knight, he reached out a couple of days later and said, I listened to your interview with Ryan Knight on Amped Up podcast. And then he basically asked me, has anybody covered or done a documentary on the Red Berets movement? And I said, no. I said, no, nobody has yet. And then I also commented, I said, it's basically I have the whole story in my photo album, and we share it via Twitter. We do kind of local organizing, and then we've tried to get the word out very much on Twitter. And then it's been recently that I basically created this YouTube channel. And so far, even though I haven't done any Zoom meetings or found another media that I can actually interview people and upload the videos, that might be something that I look towards doing. But right now I've got to take little baby steps because I'm not very tech savvy of a person. So just to be on a YouTube channel is kind of a big step for me. Let me just give a big shout out, and then I'll return to Kenny Ballentine. Ballentine. Let me give you his Twitter handle before I actually forget and get too sidetracked. So if you follow him on Twitter, it's at Kenny, Kenny, Ballentine, Ballentine. And you can go to his, bio, all of his information that he's working on, his current project, which there's a website there, is called the badge and blackamerica.com. So I, of course, went to that website and listened to the interviews, the work that is available so far. And I guess all of it's going to be released or streamed the end of this year, the end of 2021. So that's still a work in progress. He has more people to interview and more to include there. But basically, yeah, he heard the interview, and he'd been just realizing that that with COVID bringing the issue to even higher urgency of how broken that are, and how unjust that our healthcare, our wealth care system is in the United States. He had been, I'm paraphrasing for him, he'd been looking for an interesting angle, an interesting way to kind of cover what's going to be another massive surge of Medicare for all or healthcare justice activism. And then he heard the interview and reached out to me. So yeah, I think I was so taken aback that and probably like you, Lisa, if you end up watching this or tuning in, potentially tearful. Yes, I have cried a couple of times just in joy and relief, because those of you who have kind of really been a part of the Red Beret movement on Twitter, and then also in the state of Washington doing local activism here, with wholewashington.org, you really realize how hard, because you've been a part of it, that we have worked to, try to kind of get some, yeah, I see you, Sarah. It is So I'm really excited. I'm going to be on the volunteer call tonight to the whole Washington volunteer call tonight to kind of just brief everybody about the Power to Heal and how that went, and then also share about this documentary. I'm terrible with, I like to give people these little teasers and then talk about something else, don't I? But look, here is my matching beret and mittens made by Michelle Devier, and she came by and I decided to donate directly to her for these. I was like, these are for me. Whole Washington gets to be in the picture all the time, and they deserve to be in the picture, and they need to be in the picture. But let me just go ahead and donate what I want to donate for these. And her craftsmanship is incredible. So many talented. Sarah is extremely talented as well, and Fran, and everyone that has contributed to the Red Berets so far, thank you. And obviously, Sarah, what came out of the meeting today with Kenny is that he wanted to kind of hear initially, just kind of my story of where the idea came from and what has been the kind of, development. And I'm going to take these off. They're very warm, super warm. Anyway, and that back there is Lisa's. She has either donated to Whole Washington for those, or she will be shortly soon. So I basically reached out and messaged her and said, I really think you need a matching pair. That's almost, or matching set. There's a little bit of brown in that one, which I think is going to look absolutely amazing on you, Lisa. So, yes. So basically, Kenny asked kind of what does the schedule look like? What do you think, with COVID and all of that? And he was explaining some of the ways that he's when he travels, just to make sure that he's interviewing people safely and to protect everyone. And, we're doing everything safely. But I said, well, I'm back to work. I'm a holistic healthcare practitioner. I've been back to work for some time. I wear a mask at work. I would prefer to be interviewed without having a mask over my, we had all of that whole discussion. So we're going to work it out to where it's all safely done. And when he comes up with some dates that are going to work for him, it's going to be in the relatively near future. And I think he'll be able to hopefully also interview some people or find some work to do that is going to work for his current project. And kind of make the trip up here to Washington State, work synergistically with both his current project and now beginning to look at Medicare for all or healthcare justice through the creative connecting lens of Red Berets. So certainly what I told him was that we'll hopefully be able to get, I think we'll be able to give him the problem that hopefully the good problem to have, that he will have too many people to interview and share their stories. He's the documentary filmmaker, so I don't know, but I will make it my job to get what I do best is I'm a sort of, I don't really like the word cheerleader, but I am, kind of, I like to try to get people really excited and share all the imagery and just kind of rally people around this. And I know from my direct organizing and in the case with you, Sarah, that you've crafted, we were one of the very earliest crafters to make Red Berets. And then you and I, some of the pictures that I still use for social media purposes were both of the times that we did the women's march in Olympia with our big, my big hand painted American flag that's got all the countries. So wow! And speaking of which, that's just kind of talking about this has already got me kind of thinking like, okay, I got to remember to ask Kenny if he would like to or be able to incorporate that flag either put it as a backdrop for when he's interviewing people. I mean, the flag's been everywhere, as you can attest to, Sarah. It's kind of a iconic thing that we have a lot of imagery. We've brought it to the women's marches. We've brought it to the People's March for Medicare for All that we all kind of co-organized together, that you brought the fantastic berets, Sarah, and my mom claimed the one that I wanted. Look at that. Look how I'm never going to get that. I'm never going to forget that beret. And then you went and crocheted me a beret that was probably very, very similar, to which I shamefully gave it to somebody who I thought it was really amazing, and I didn't have an extra one at the time, so that's what happened. It moved along to another person who really wanted a red beret, and that's kind of so many red berets that have people have donated for these, but before we figured out how to have people donate for them to kind of directly help Whole Washington, we just really gave a lot of them away, didn't we? Which in a way is good. But then, like Sarah has her own, she makes all kinds of hats, and she's a fantastic, amazing, talented crochet artist. And, people that do this craftsmanship do deserve to be paid for their, not only for the supplies, but obviously for their labor as well. And it's a means of generating some revenue for some of us. So we can't give everything to Whole Washington, or those of us that can do that. But anyway, that's really a big rant and ramble, isn't it? So yeah, and so I let him know that we would just try to make it quite easy. If he turns out to want to kind of go several places in the state to try to travel and have several locations, fine. But I would also certainly hope, if he's coming up from Sacramento and whatnot, if he wants to sort of choose a central location, I hope that this is something that people can understand. It's certainly going to. I just really hope that people want to participate in it, and that people will try to make themselves available to travel in the same way that we all did for I-1600. If it's somewhere where you can either ask for a ride from someone, or let's just look towards that, because this is something that will, you all can talk about your work with Whole Washington, and how the Red Berets and Whole Washington and whatever healthcare justice personal actions that you've taken in your own story, how all of those things have intersected. I don't know. Like I started to say, he's the documentary filmmaker, and he'll kind of get the story and ask people the questions. But all I want is for us to recognize that this is a chance for people to get out and share through a creative lens, which I've been saying for quite some time, like art fuels the movement. And, Sarah, your Twitter handle is like craftivism and crafting for a cause. And I want, hopefully that, one of the things I was saying to Kenny I said many things on the call, but just thinking about Bernie's campaign, and how many, not all people that craft are boomers or in the older thing, like Sarah and I are both, we're not boomers, but so there are people of all ages that craft, but it's a little bit of a lost art. And so there are some younger people who craft, but there are overwhelmingly a lot of boomers who craft. And so one of the things that I kind of thought years back was that it would have been great had Bernie's campaign kind of helped us spread this word a little bit, because not only would we be crafting, just all of these berets as a symbol of solidarity, but the thing is that I discovered through some of the Dem Enter stuff that I did organizing through Pierce County Democrats, is that a couple of people who crafted these were kind of like well, we need some kind of healthcare reform. And I'm not sure about Medicare for all, maybe Medicare for all, maybe a public. No, it's not very many. Almost everybody that's crafted these has been 100% like all in. We need Medicare for all, whatever. But it would it would invest people. So a lot of crafters might just, I think, be looking to, they want to craft for a good cause, right? But I don't know that very many of them want to be really into the weeds on policy and whatnot. But if you tell them healthcare is a human right and Medicare for all is how we do it, then you can get a whole bunch of people. And once their work, they're invested in this. This is artistry. I'm going to show you all my hair. This is absolutely, it's something, she called it a braided something, isn't it? It's just absolutely like gorgeous. I have my own good stuff. I do brioche now. So no, knitting's awesome, but I am discovering how absolutely amazing that crochet. I mean, I've always thought crochet is cool. It holds the shape of a beret very, very well, and so arguably it's a superior form of beret crafting. But we could get into some healthy, crafty debate about that. I don't know where I was with that really. Just that, and I'm not trying to kind of go back in time. I wish that I would have had the opportunity to kind of explain my thinking in more than just a tweet, to be like, if we could get this idea to a broad audience and kind of tap into all of the crafting efforts, people might not care. So they might even be more centrist in their kind of policy, or they're older and they watch corporate media. But then if they get the opportunity to put their craftsmanship into a cause and then see this on somebody like Sema Hernandez's head or Nina Turner's head, or just a regular person that's going out and gathering signatures for whole Washington, all of a sudden they are very, very just overjoyed. They're seeing their beautiful things that they've created. Their contribution, their investment is suddenly now they're invested in this cause. So my thinking was the very demographic that we kind of need to bring in more of could be reached out to through this means. And so we are where we are now. And I've spent the last couple of live streams really deeply, well, one of them was a little bit angsty, wishing that I hadn't had to knit over 300 of these to get the idea across. But nevertheless, sometimes grassroots activism takes a long time. And what we've really built kind of a foundation from all the different people, some of whom we know and they have a higher profile, like these candidates, like Paula Jean Swearingen, who Fran mailed a beret to, and Jen Perlman, who Fran mailed 2 berets to and now has her own beret story. If you go to Whole Washington on YouTube, you can listen to George's interview with Jen Perlman recently, and Jen wears her red beret, and she talks about how that's very meaningful to her now, because she gave the other beret to a very dear friend who was a completely amazing Medicare for All champion, and then that dear friend recently passed away, which is that's sad. It's very sad. That's her loss. And now her beret, and I am trying to paraphrase what I heard Jen share in this story. But now her beret has even more meaning and significance, because that's connection that she had with the friend that she gave the beret to. So we have, over these last several years, really created, we have a lot of these stories. For example, Scott Desnoyers, who I mailed some berets to. I mailed some crochet work. I'd have to look at his berets again to see exactly whose work that I think it is. I may have also sent him like one knit, but overall it was crochet, and it very likely could have been Lori Jackson, who's a local crafter and who I met through Pierce County Democrats, through trying to kind of be involved with the Pierce County Democrats. And she's donated more than any, I mean, she's just literally hands me bags of these things. I have to check in and see how she's doing. But when I mailed 38 berets to Nick Brana for the Force the Vote action, and I had Amber King's financial help sending those, that was a little bit of a pricey endeavor to kind of, and then unfortunately they kind of didn't get there in time for that call to action. But I'm kind of saying all of this in case, Kenny listens to more of this, and just as a kind of reminder to all of us who have been involved on some level of or another, either by crafting these or by sharing the tweets or by showing up to marches and helping Whole Washington, donating to Whole Washington and getting a beret from across the United States. And there's all different levels of involvement and lots of people who have contributed. And we've tried to build a grassroots coalition, yes, largely through Twitter, what hasn't been personally or what hasn't been focused in real boots on the ground organizing. There's been a lot of that. I think there was the campaign launch for I-1600 in Tacoma that we had at the Grand Theater. Cynthia Mascura from Grand Rapids, Michigan, mailed a box of berets. I had knit a bunch of berets. Robin, somebody, I forget her last name, who is good friends with Mariana Everson, and potentially even you, Sarah, I don't remember, but quite a few people contributed work for that event. We had something like 40 or 50 berets, and we gave a lot of them away. Like, I look back at that and I'm just like, why wasn't I valuing the work at that point? And it's because I think, I think we might've had some donations for the berets that day to Whole Washington. But seriously, in the early days, the thing is, I know that so many progressives are already like donating their time. We were all going to be going and gathering signatures. And so I had this mindset of, if people are helping organize or volunteer, let's just get these berets on their head because they're helping already. And I want to grow this movement. So everything I've given away, it's been in service to growing the creative Red Berets movement for Whole Washington. Once I was introduced to Whole Washington at the very beginning. So there would be no Red Berets without Whole Washington. And equally, we have a lot of support coming in nationally for beginning to sort of the walls beginning to crumble because of a lot of the work that Sarah and myself and many others, 50 Lines Only, Fran, High Mountain Women, like a core of us, Georgia Davenport, that we've put in, and Dr. Dooley, without the sort of retweets and solidarity from Nina Turner and Dr. Dooley, that's how I was able to grow. And it was also through, as Justin Jackson said, through me being absolutely relentless on Twitter. I've tweeted a lot, and then I've had a lot of help. And so, but a lot of what we have done on Twitter, some of the support that we're now beginning to get for Whole Washington is because the creative grassroots of Red Berets for Medicare for All has been continuously sharing out these photos of the Red Beret, like trying to bring in everybody and be like, but why should we focus on, look, just to generate this creative solidarity and connect state level efforts up with Medicare for All. So it's been synergistic. It's been kind of like there would be no Red Berets movement without Whole Washington. And equally, Whole Washington is now, it's kind of coming full circle that we're now, getting quite a bit of solidarity because Red Berets was able to help bridge that gap of this is just a local kind of organization that's working for this to know, like, actually, no, let's build a solidarity movement. So And there's, of course, been the separate and fantastic organizing of Georgia Davenport and Jen Nye through One Payer States. So by no means am I saying that every bit of kind of nation, all of the stuff is through the Red Beret movement, but certainly I think, Georgia being able to mail out these berets that are going all over Washington State, and then people that have been following the Red Berets through kind of what we did supporting the Bernie campaign, and with Nina Turner and Dr. Dooley and all of that stuff, that people now that had really enjoyed our creative work there are now kind of looking at, yeah, well, we want to support whole Washington, and let's show that solidarity. So I just think, like, when we start to refer to all this as a synergistic, holistic, all fight on all fronts, throw the kitchen sink at it approach, that's what we mean by that. So anyway, that's that. I hope that you check out and follow Kenny Ballentine, and certainly amplify and boost his work, because I think everyone should go and watch those videos that are on his website, right there on his homepage. Again, that's the badgeandblackamerica.com. And you can kind of see, if you go to that, now it could be that the project with the Red Berets and healthcare, that's what he was saying. Like, we make a start, and it may be more of a small sort of contained project, or it may generate some interest and be able to grow. And so he's going to be starting here in Washington State, and we see where we go with it. But certainly, as we learned on Power to Heal, and watching that movie and listening to Dr. Victoria Dooley and Justin Jackson and the rest of the panelists, that healthcare is absolutely a Black agenda issue, and it's a racial justice issue, and it's an LGBTQ issue. Marginalized communities are dying and are disproportionately being devastated by COVID-19 because of our broken system. And so I think it's fantastic, that this is the work that Kenny is currently engaged in, because it's very, very, he will be able to bring that intersectionality to the work. And that's what we need to do, because none of these issues are an island. I know I tend to get very focused on, we need Medicare for all. And it's just how my mind works, that I'll be frayed all over the place if I kind of wanted to just create this symbol and keep putting this symbol out there for everybody who is fighting for Medicare for all, regardless of what party that they are organizing within. But the Democrats won't let it on there. It's not on the National Democratic Party platform. So let's just throw out it is on the Green Party. It is on the People's Party. I think it is on the National Progressive Party. And, there's other parties out there that if people can always at me if they think that there is a group of people that I should be focusing on more. I hope everyone understands that we are grassroots, and you can always at me. I appreciate that. If you think, hey, we really need to be helping to bring these people into the Red Berets conversation, please feel empowered to do that, because this was just a creative idea. And the reason it's growing is because and it looks like I just got a notification. The Vanguard is live with Savage Joy. So you should go and click on that and like that video. And I need to go anyway, because I'm late, or going to be late for a meeting. But that's my exciting announcement. And thank you for tuning in. And I would love it if you would like the video and maybe ask people to subscribe. It would be cool if I could get to 100 subscribers, right? But I'm not in a hurry about this. This just kind of lets me get my thought process out there, gives me a chance to practice my public speaking and kind of give updates to the Red Berets community who want to tune in. So I'm not really worried about likes or subscribers, but I do know that's also how more people see these videos. So if you would do that, then I would appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Bye, Sarah.